This video is brought to you by Craven's Comic Books and Collectibles. Check out their weekly live show, auction, and sale at facebook.com/Craven's Comics every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And you can check out their inventory at cravenscomics.com. Craven's Comics, for the comics you crave. So we had you on our show back in June of last year. Did you think at that time that you would win the Golden Grant Award for Best Comic Creator Guest of the Year?
No, I did not. I'm very honored and thankful for this award for Comic Creator of the Year, Guest of the Year.
Oh yes, no. Well, it's great to have you back here, and we had such a good time talking with you. That was, of course, a couple of months before Three Jokers hit the stands. Of course, now it's all out, and in fact, you can get it in hardcover. And what really hit me, of course, you talked about it in the interview when we had you on, is about how a lot of it was about the emotional and the physical scars of these characters. And those opening pages of that first issue, where you see like Batman just kind of sprawled out, like he's in pain, he's got scars all over his body, Alfred's carrying him in, and you're seeing kind of like a roadmap of where each of those scars came from. And then, of course, you get kind of a version of that with Barbara and with Jason Todd, very specific moments. When drawing out those moments, like how, like what was it? What was the feeling for you when you were creating kind of this visual representation of these emotional scars?
You know what? That was those pages were tough pages to kind of get through because it was at the very beginning of the book, and I always find that it takes a good 10, 15 pages into a project to really start to get the feel for it. And so, and those are such heavy kind of moments. I think I redrew some of those panels 3 or 4 different times just because I couldn't get what I wanted it. I couldn't get the emotion out of some of those shots that I wanted. Some of those panels where we wanted to show kind of classic kind of things that had happened to him being hurt by like Killer Croc or Scarecrow. Those were kind of fun because I went back and if you notice, like the costumes are a little different in each panel. They're from different eras. There's one of them is like a Brian Boland from Killing Joke and a Catwoman from Year One, and I don't know. There's all kinds of different versions of Batman and some of his villains in there as well. Yeah, it was, that was a fun way to kind of set up the book. And like Jeff had originally pitched it as like the first 15, 20 pages were all just going to be silent. There was going to be no words or anything. And we found that though he wanted to keep going with that. And I kind of said, you know what, I think we need something here or there. Like, and then as he started scripting and dialoguing the book out, he kind of agreed with me. And one of the interesting things about Jeff and how we kind of worked with this is, he kind of gave me the broad script, but there was very little dialogue within the actual scripts that I was working from. Then once I had finished all the artwork, he went back and he dialogued it, and he must have re-dialogued each of those issues, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times. He said that he went through and threw out everything a few different times and just restarted and re-dialogued it, and he kept on pushing himself because he really felt like he needed to hit another level. And he told me after we had finished the book that he felt that it was the best dialogue he had ever written in a comic book, and he really pushed himself hard to do it. So, it was, especially those opening pages, there's a lot of silence, but then it starts to ramp up and you get a lot of this emotion. And we really wanted the reader to have like a background on these characters and the scars and the pain that they've gone through but more through a visual and not just like telling you everything. Like we wanted it through the visual, and you would kind of understand what's happened to them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like as I was reading it, speaking of the emotions, right? As you go deeper into the book, those emotions come back in very interesting and thoughtful ways in some people's cases, and in other characters' cases, in very violent, very destructive ways. And it was interesting to see that because, like as you were mentioning, like those of us who are familiar with the Bat family and know the history with the Joker and the characters, like we have already the sense of that, but then to see it kind of play out in the PTSD that exists in some and not in others, and the reasons why, that was really interesting to see when you're getting the story from Jeff. And as you guys were working through it, it sounds like you guys had a lot of conversations. Was like getting to that part, like we're getting to show these kind of deep emotional scenes, was that like, is it still surprising when you look back on it now and you look at those panels that it came off the way that it did, or did it come out exactly the way you thought it was going to when you first got it?
I think a lot of this stuff came out how I originally had first thought it, because the one thing I've kind of learned with making comic books is you have to go with your gut instinct on most things. You read the script and immediately an image kind of pops in your head, even a layout of how you want the page to look. And I find the more that you fiddle and try to move away from that original gut feeling, the more trouble you get in, and the more you kind of feel like you're having to force yourself to figure out a page, and instead of just going with what Jeff had written, and also what your first kind of reaction was, to those sequences. But yeah, it was a lot of these. I mean, the whole book, like right from the beginning, Jeff really pitched it as this is going to be an emotional, personal story. This isn't Joker's trying to kill everybody in Gotham. This is a very one-on-one sort of tale where we're going to kind of push these characters, and we want each of these characters to grow and change throughout the story. And keeping that in mind, we knew the story really didn't change much from when we first had talked about it, and so I was able to just go in there, get the pages, look at the script, and know kind of the emotion and what I had to tell in every panel and every page, knowing kind of where everything was leading. And so it was a lot of fun. And like you had mentioned, like Jeff and I, we talk at least 3 or 4 times a week. And when we were working on this book, especially in some of those heavier moments when we were really trying to refine scenes and touch on those big kind of moments, Jeff, we were in contact every day, almost, sometimes even 2 or 3 times a day, talking over things. Sometimes I would say, hey, what if we tried this? What if we tried that? And, even up to the very end, there was like a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise in a way, because COVID happened. The book was supposed to come out in April, and then we pushed it. DC pushed it all the way back to August. And at first we were really bummed out because we had worked on this thing. At that point, it was already 2 years. And we were like, we just want this thing out. Like, people are hungry for it. We want it out. But looking back on it, if it would have come out in April, it would have been dead. It would have died on the shelves, and it wouldn't have been the book that that everybody got in their hands. Because because of the shutdown, we kind of took a step back. We said, well, book's not coming out till August. Why don't we do some funky stuff with covers? Why don't we do some, like, all of the different Joker covers came about like during that time, because I now had time to draw all of those covers. And we also went back and we started, there was some, Jeff had kind of left he had actually left like the last 4 or 5 pages blank. And he says, I just feel like there's something there. I feel like there's something more, another sort of reveal that we can do, but I'm just not sure what it is. And then as we discussed different ideas we had during this time, the ending that you see, the last 4 pages of this book, that kind of came about. We went, yes, that's it. So we threw that together. We went back, we dropped a couple hints in some of the other issues, and we were really able to use that time wisely to kind of take the book to a different level. But That's how Jeff and I work. It's a true collaboration between the two of us. We talk about it. We talk about the story, and he listens to what my ideas are, and he listens to what the editors are saying. Like, he's not afraid to get critique and hey, let's move this to, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And so it's really a joy to work with somebody like that.
Oh, totally. And, of course, this project has opened a lot of doors for you. I know that you said that it's given you some freedom now to actually take risks in your career and try for new projects. And I really look forward to seeing what comes in this year. I know you're currently working on a project, but one thing that I know as a huge toy collector and figure fan like you are, you got to be jazzed to be working on the Dark Knight's Metal Grim Knight figure with Primed One Studios. What's that experience been like to get to see your drawing get turned into a figure?
Yeah, I think there's actually been, I don't know, 5 or 6 statues that Prime One and I have now worked together on that have been announced. There's a couple more down the pipeline, but we're doing like there's kind of two versions of this. Like, there's like the Grim Knight one, and there was a couple of the other Dark Knight's Metal ones that they're basing off of my cover work. And so with those, they pretty much just said, hey, we want to do this. Do you have any sketches? Did you do any, like, let's talk together. Like, well, how do you see the back of the character or the back of the statue or the face? We kind of just talked about it. I would do a couple of quick sketches, but they kind of had the artwork from the covers I had done to kind of just go with. And then there was, we did design a Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. There's like 3 separate statues. And those ones were ones that I had done like full turnarounds, and then we see the 3D models come back, and I would critique it, and we tweak it. And it's a lot of fun to see. It's a different kind of outlet artistically, and as, like you said, as a big toy collector, statue collector, like you can't beat that. Like Prime One is like they do like the best statues in the biz. And the only thing I'm kind of afraid for is where I'm going to put all these statues, because they're so huge. My wife's already like, I don't, like, where are you gonna, like, where are we even going to store the boxes? Like, like these boxes are huge. Like, I don't have enough room to put them all out on display somewhere. So I'll have to rotate them in and out. But no, Prime One's great. They're really fun to work for. They're great guys. They're comic book geeks. They love to pay attention to all the little details, and that makes you excited as a creator that they want to work with you and collaborate.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I got to see on your Instagram a shot of the Wonder Woman, which looks like it looks fantastic as well. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more of these. Like, it's just like, I would be chuffed if I, like, just to have that option available in life, to go from the paper, which is fantastic unto itself, but now to see it in 3 dimensions. And they're not, as you said, they're not small, right? Like, no. I think they're what, about 18 to 20 inches in height, or is it even bigger?
I have one that is the Arkham Origins Batman. It's on my shelf on the other side of my computer here, and it's huge. Like, the thing is, it's as well, at the time when I had got it, my son was maybe 3.5 years old, and he was just barely a little bit taller than this thing. Like, it's like the size of a 3-year-old kid. Like, it's huge. And so, they're incredible pieces to collect. They're very expensive, but people come in my office, and that's the first thing they see is this huge statue. So I can't wait to get like the Batman one that I designed up on display here.
That's awesome, man. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and I want to thank you for being Geek Hard's Golden Grant Award winner. Jay, you can tell him right now how prestigious it is to be an award winner, right, Jay?
There's nothing like it. Maybe Miss Universe. I don't know.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, Jason, have yourself a great night, sir, and we look forward to more great comics and statues.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you, Jay. You too.